there is a way to sell to somebody as a mortgage broker to get clients to want to buy your stuff and agree to work with you that we're not really talking about enough. And today, that's what I want to do in this video is share this with you, which is this is a psychological way of selling. So we've always been taught that you should sell. Some people buy emotionally, some people buy logically, some people just don't buy at all. But we're already been taught there's these two types of clients, and the truth is that's not actually the case. We're actually a mixture of both of those clients. There are things that we need to understand in order to get a client to say yes to us, which, by the way, you can get most people to say yes to you if they're in the right mindset to buy. Buying is not about trying to force someone to do something. It's about guiding them through a decision-making process that allows them to feel safe and the ability to actually say yes. And so I'm going to show you today and talk through today how you do that. Now, one of the first things you need to understand with this, okay, is that the human brain is broken up into three parts. It's going to be a bit of a human psychology lesson right now, but the human brain is broken up into three parts. Okay, we have what is known as the reptilian brain, we have the limbic brain, and we have the neocortex. So the reptilian brain, that is there to effectively do fight or flight, survival, are we safe, and things like that. You have the limbic brain, that is emotional regulation, that is emotions, that is how do we think, how do we feel, all that type of stuff. And then the neocortex, that is the logical part of our brain, the part that looks at things in more logical detail. Now, fun fact with this one is that the reptilian brain is the part of the brain normally that is formed pretty much always from birth, but the other parts of the brain, the limbic, so the emotional part, let's call it the emotional part, is the bit that's kind of when we're children, and that's forming. And then our neocortex, that logical part, is the bit that doesn't actually fully form until we're 25. So this is how we see development through the years in teenagers and stuff like that, is that their brains aren't fully developed until the age of about 25. And that's because this brain is being developed over time. Now, this is really relevant to what we're talking about now, because understanding that we're not selling to people mostly under the age of 25. So the clients we're going to be talking to and working with, they're going to have fully formed brains, I hope. So how then does this play into mortgage brokering and discovery calls and stuff like that? Well, let's now break that down. So when you have a discovery call with a client, you're effectively trying to get a client to say yes to you. You want them to trust you. And so if we think of the brain in those three clear parts, think of the brain as three bouncers that are going to deny entry. They're going to stop you from going into the club, which is at the end. The club being, yes, I want to work with you, and income and money and protection sales. That's the club that we're talking about here. Our brain has three bouncers. They're always going to go in reptilian, limbic, and neocortex. Always. It's never going to be in a different order. So we have to understand that to get a client to buy from us, we have to get through each one of those bouncers in order to eventually say yes. So then how do you do that? Well, let's talk about the reptilian brain first. And the reptilian brain is that part of your brain that needs safety. So we have to show the client that they are safe in our hands. Now, this can be done in a number of different ways. Firstly, in a discovery call, it's normally going to be by setting an agenda right at the beginning. So saying to the client, this is what we're going to do, this is the outcome of the goal, and this is what I'm going to tell you at the end. Now, when I work in the mortgage business mastery process and the program, what we actually do is say, look, we actually do it as, this is the goal, which is a fit check. These are things we're going to do. And at the end, we signposting even at the end. At the end, I'm going to ask if you want to work with me. So effectively, we're even signposting to them, yes, I'm going to sell to you. Don't be caught off guard when I do. You're actually tapping into this safety mechanism that lets the bouncer go, yes, in you go. You're fine, we're safe. That's the idea. Now, another way you can build safety, which is one that I think is really, really useful as well, is where content comes in. Content marketing, building a brand, that's going to build safety significantly. You can build all of these actually through content marketing, but that's where the safety comes in for content marketing, is the ability for us to be able to create content that makes the person see us more. So there's social proof and stuff like that. That's going to allow you to unlock more safety with the clients and get through that first bouncer. So now let's move on to the other part, the next part of the brain. So we're now going to bouncer 2. We've got past the first boss. We now have to go to the second boss. Now, the second boss is this emotional part of the brain. So does the client actually like you? Do they like you personally? Do they feel like there's some sort of connection? Now, this can be referred to as rapport. Now, rapport is something we always hear people talk about in our industry, has been from the beginning of time, and yet none of us actually really, or not none, but many people don't really understand what rapport even is. The mistake that people make with rapport is they go on this tangent talking about random stuff. So they think that by having just conversations with people, that's going to build rapport, but that doesn't build rapport to get us through the bouncer. That's us talking to the bouncer, having a nice conversation with him at the front door, but then them saying, your name's not down, you're not coming in. And so that is what normal rapport, make sure there's no water in here, that's what normal rapport looks like when all the bad rapport. Now with good rapport, what we should be doing is we actually should be trying to create relevant questions that make the client look at us. All these berries everywhere. We're moving house, okay? So that's why I'm cleaning up. Relevant content and relevant questions that makes the client then say to you, okay, this person is getting my situation. So we do this with, there's two parts to rapport, what I would call soft facts and then what I would call interrogation. So soft facts is, what are they doing? So tell me about your situation. Tell me what properties you looked at. What do you like? Why are you moving? These are all really, really important things that you should be doing, but we don't often do that, or many people just jump straight to the fact find. You don't want to do that. The second thing though, the other type of rapport is what I call interrogation. Now, yeah, that sounds dramatic. It is dramatic. So the thing about the interrogation is, this is how we actually build authority. So when we build interrogation, let's get you up there first. So when we get interrogation, what we're actually doing here is we're creating a connection with our client to say, I'm still going to be asking you some awkward questions. And this would be an initial fact find that we're talking about, but you're saying to them, look, I'm going to ask you these awkward questions and you should expect that from me. Now this builds emotional connection because it creates that safety. So there's an emotional safety, but there's also a likability. The first part creates authority and dependency. It makes them feel like, I can trust this person. So that then, Mr. Bouncer or boss level 2 goes, open your door and off you go through. That pretty much leads us on to the third one. Now the third one you have is, these are safe for kids, isn't it? So the third one you have is this logical part of the brain. And this is the bit that many people don't like, because this is the bit where people are worried. People always have this, where imposter syndrome normally comes in. We think, you know, we don't know what we're talking about, they're going to find us out. And the logical part is actually quite straightforward. The logical part is just demonstrating to the client that the client has to be able to see, or the prospect has to be able to see, that it's a good decision to make, that it's not a silly decision. So their emotions might feel one thing, but now their logical brain has to say, is this a good decision? Does it validate that, yes, I want to spend, you know, $2,500 on that VR virtual reality rig, but is that a good idea? And the answer to that, by the way, is no. My wife does not think that's a good idea. But the thing with this is, we can do this quite easily by then having, which we do in the discovery calls when we work with clients in one-to-one, is we look at then the part 3 and 4 of the discovery call, which is looking at the presenting your service. So presenting your service in a logical way so that people know what you do, so it's clear what you do and it's said in a way that makes sense. And then the other one is the ability for you to demonstrate. So we do this where you show the lenders and you show the process. So you have a clear process and you demonstrate to the clients and you show that logically that it makes the next step. Now, another one to do with this, by the way, from a logical point of view, I'm just going to squat back down again because my legs are hurting. I've pretty much done it all, which is great. So logically, one of the best ways to do this is social proof. So like weaving in stories and examples of where you've helped people, but like 1 or 2 lines, that can be really, really powerful. I've done it throughout this video, I'm sure. And so it allows you to get past that final boss, which is that, okay, I feel safe, boss number 1 or bouncer number 1. I feel like emotionally connected to this person, bouncer or boss number 2. And then the third one, and does it logically stack up to be a good investment? Or is everything telling me it's a good investment? And that's boss number 3 or bouncer number 3. Now, once you get through all of those, honestly, it then just comes down to whether or not they want it or not. If they don't want it, there's no way of forcing someone in to do it. But if they do want it, and you've done this in a very specific process, they'll say yes.